So for each chapter, I'm going to take a couple of homework problems that I know students typically have trouble with, or I really think that they're important that you understand how to do them. And I'm going to walk you through how to do one of those problems, and then you'll go through to the practice problem of it, the same problem, and complete it yourself. So hopefully that kind of gets you started on your homework and answers any questions almost before you even have them. What I'll also do is then walk you through the problem and show you how it would relate to a test question. So here for chapter 1, I'm going to walk you through a simple problem. Usually I'll pick a harder one, but chapter 1 is really a lot of definitions. I highly recommend you go into the exam materials, and I have flashcards in there for each chapter. Chapter 1 is really one of those chapters you're going to want to use those flashcards. So let me show you how this works. So in particular for this type of question, what you want to do is pull out the keywords to identify which characteristic it's talking about. For example, in A, the keywords here is that they're looking for similarities and differences in something. That then relates to comparability. When I look at B, what I'm trying to find here is it's saying it has information available to users while it's still relevant. So before it loses its capacity to influence decisions. So we want that information while it's relevant. That's talking about timeliness. In C, we're looking at information to input processes used by capital providers to form their own expectations about the future. So that's the key term there, their own expectations about the future. And what that triggers is the predictive value. In D, it says information is capable of making a difference in the decision of the user. That's the key terms there, the difference in the decision. Compared to the differences between two different sets of data. Here we're looking at differences in decision, and that then talks about relevance. So in A, we're talking about the differences between two sets, and B, or D, sorry, we're talking about the differences in a decision and its usefulness to that decision. That's the difference there. Sometimes that can get confusing. And then finally, E, the key term that we're looking for here is that it's an absence of bias that would trigger the fact that it's neutral. So how does this type of homework question translate to a test question? And again, chapter 1's a little bit simpler in this because it is mostly definitions, but we'll walk you through it anyway and show you how it works. So if we're looking for those key terms. So if a company is using its annual financial reports within 1 month of the end of the year, and is an example of enhancing quality of accounting information. So again, we're looking at this information being relevant based on the time it is provided. So that then would be timeliness. It kind of goes along here about with B, showing that if we don't have this information readily available, it might not be useful. And then one last one we can look at here is talking about how, again, finding those key terms enhances information that is relevant and faithfully represented. So here it's not showing exactly the same terms, but what they're saying there, and if you kind of go back to your book, you can see the decision tree that comes about this. But this is talking about comparability. So we're looking at that the two sets of information is actually comparable to each other, and we can do that because we're showing both relevant and faithfully represented information. So hopefully that helps. Again, chapter 1's a little bit more simple. Hopefully this will get you started, and let me know if you've got any questions.